Hello and welcome to Vox Aloria. I am Garen, also known as Garian Reaver, and this is our new podcast. I am joined by my co-hosts, Charlie, also known as Guardsman111.
Hello.
And Hazel, also known as Hazelix.
Hello.
So, this is our brand new podcast, Vox Aloria. Very quickly, I thought I'd talk about why we're called this. The both parts of the name have I think slightly interesting stories to them. But before we get on, how are you guys? You alright?
Yeah, I'm good now. After my thing that I'll talk about in a sec.
I'm good. I was bang on time.
You were. I was late.
Hazel was a bit worried she'd be late, but it turned out we were starting half an hour later, and then half an hour later beyond that. But anyway, so Vox Aloria. The two parts of the name. First of all, a big thank you to Mimicu, or Alex, for the suggestion of the name. He's on the Garian River fans Discord and suggested Voices of Aloria. And Vox Aloria, Vox is Latin for voices, or voice. I don't know how it translates exactly, but we thought this would be sort of a bit more, I don't know, fitting to a name, but still, thank you very much to Mimicu for the suggestion.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry, stop me if I talk too much. I'm used to being a solo host on this sort of thing.
I'll let you off.
And Aloria is because in the book series that my name and that Garian and Reva are from, there is a sort of a group of kingdoms called Aloria. So that's where Aloria comes from.
So mix an old and new.
Yeah. So, I expected the intro to take 15 minutes, but that's okay. For some reason,
not a problem. It's not. There's not a lot to talk about in the intro.
No,
really.
I breezed straight through it. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit nervous. I've not done a podcast for years since I did the GG&G one with Jamie, probably about 7 years ago.
And I hear that one didn't go too well. So.
Thanks for bringing that up, Charlie. Yeah.
Your nerves.
Yeah.
I listened to it and I enjoyed it, Garen. So
thank you, Hazel.
I didn't listen, unfortunately.
So, a quick outline of what we plan to do in this podcast. So, this is just a test podcast. This is a test. We're going to be going through a variety of host topics, host segments and stuff. And then if you let us know which ones you like, which ones you're not as bothered about, so on, we'll continue to adjust the format as we go. But the reason this is just a test one is because at the moment my house still can't. I'm still got sound issues with the nearby road, so I can't record this until my new window's put in, which is now scheduled for mid to late February, which is a real bitch. But for now, I'm home for Christmas, which is why I'm recording this now. Like, I'm back at my parents for Christmas.
Well, it's nice to be home for Christmas. I'm going home this Saturday, so not long.
Oh, nice. And Hazel, what are you doing for Christmas?
I'll be going back to my parents' Christmas Day. I'm pretty excited for it. I only get the bank holidays off work though, so and it's the first time as well that I've only had the bank holidays off. So it's dulling the excitement a little bit that I'm not going to be able to doss around eating Christmas food for 2 weeks. But
I miss that eating Christmas food all the time. Although I still do it, but I've missed it for the year.
So the outline for this podcast. We are going to be going through a load of topics, I think, in ordinary ones, which hopefully will start on a monthly basis towards the end of February, because that's the earliest I'll be able to do it again. We plan to have like 3 host segments, and then they can be sort of longer rather than these ones, which are going to be a bit short. So, after this, we'll be doing What's New, which is where we talk about sort of stuff we've been doing lately. Then there's the debate, where I believe I have a debate topic for this one for us to discuss. Yeah, I do. It's written right here in front of me. Then a theory. I should have written down who's actually doing this. I wrote it down somewhere.
You did. It's in the outline.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, Charlie's got a theory for us.
I do. Crazy one.
Then Nostalgia Corner. So yes, there's like the debate floor, there's theory time, there's Nostalgia Corner. If you have better names for these, feel free to suggest them. You know, we've got bad names for stuff.
We struggle to think of anything at all. So.
Yeah. Nostalgia Corner, that's Hazel. That's her.
That's me.
You got something to talk about for that?
I have, yeah. I've got enough to... Oh, if I could just squat in the corner of nostalgia for for the next 2 or 3 years, that'd be great. I really had to work to narrow it down.
Really?
Then there's... I think we're calling it Gurian Reaver. Although, again, if you have a better name...
I like that. I think it's a good name.
Yeah, if you have a better name, just keep it to yourself because we like it.
I'm open to new ideas for that. This is where I have a bit of a rant because that's something that was specifically requested for this podcast. Then there's Hero Focus, which is, again, Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
Where we'll be sort of talking... Sorry?
Looking forward to that. It's going to be a good one.
Where we're talking about and sort of analysing a protagonist or villain from something. And then finally the outro. So, let's crack on. Oh yes, that was the other thing. We were planning on doing a news segment, and I think when we start doing this regularly, we will do sort of latest news of stuff that interests us. But we planned this one a bit short term, and we're obviously going to be tight on time anyway with all of the segments, so we can do that.
It works out better for us at the moment.
So I'm going to take a break from talking because I've been talking constantly, and I do apologise for that. I am nervous.
That's fine. I do it too when I'm nervous.
So, Charlie, you can take over. Tell us what is new with you. What have you been doing?
Okay, so just last night, the reason why I was late, it's not actually directly linked to me, but I can make it about me because I can make anything about me. I went and picked my brother up from the station. Who welcomed his girlfriend to the country for the first time. Jenny has come all the way from China today, arrived in the country this evening, and I went and picked them up from the station, brought them home again. So we've got a Chinese girl staying with us for the next 3 weeks, which is going to be really good fun, I imagine. Harry's going to really enjoy it. I'm going to have some fun times getting confused about what things are being said and whether or not she hates me or not, because she's always very passive-aggressive in messages over the family chat. So that's going to be entertaining.
Wow.
And obviously, my family get to meet her for the first time because she's coming home to Christmas with us, which is going to be even more fun because I don't think she's ever had a Christmas before. So when we start all opening presents, she's going to be sat there going, what is going on? These people have gone insane. They've wrapped these things up.
Wow, really? No idea Christmas not a thing?
No, they have the new Lunar New Year there, the Lunar New Year. Although actually, to be honest, they probably have presents there, so I expect she'll know what his present is. I'm not very well versed in Chinese culture.
No, I don't know either.
Lunar New Year is in February time, I think. Obviously, it is actually an Overwatch event. We should know when it is. But they don't have a Christmas at all. So they just kind of skip it.
Well, it's because they're not Christian.
No, well, obviously that's why they skip it. But yeah, they don't even do the New Year at the same time we do. We do it in February. So interesting. But yeah, she's here to come and stay with us. That's the most exciting thing that's happened today. In other news, I set up my virtual reality headset. I've been in this house for 3 months now, and I finally got it set up about last week. So that's a lot longer than I should have taken to set it up. But I've been playing a bit of that as well.
What have you got?
I got it about a year and a half ago now. Well, actually, no, closing on 2 years in February again.
Sorry, what are you talking about? I'm sorry, I completely blanked.
The Rift I've got. I've only just set it up.
I'm with you. Carry on.
It's just the original Oculus Rift.
I was just Googling when the Chinese New Year is.
What is the date?
It begins on the first new moon between the 21st of January and the 20th of February.
I was in the right ballpark then.
So in 2020, it will be on the 25th of January.
Oh, so I was wrong this year.
Initiating the Year of the Rat.
They're weird with their years because some of them are really because
really accepting of other cultures, Charlie.
No. I didn't mean weird like that. I mean some of them are good luck years and some of them bad luck years. I can't remember which is which, but I'm pretty sure the Year of the Dragon is the best one, and the Year of the Rat is one of the not so good ones. I don't know if it's the worst, but it's definitely not an amazing one, I don't think. And they go around with all, they have I think there's rooster, dog, possibly. There's
Year of the Goat, I think.
Yeah, I think there's 12 creatures, and they go in cycles. So they have.
There are 25.
Oh, I was well out. Again, I don't know this.
No, sorry, my mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. You are correct.
Oh my god, I got it right. That is a surprising thing.
No, it just...
Wow, Gary, you were completely wrong.
It's because I'm looking at a list on Wikipedia, and it goes back from the 2001 to 2025, and I assumed, they must all be different ones, but no, it's not.
Fair enough. But yeah, that's an interesting fact about China. Technically, it's not what's new with me, but that's the sort of... Yeah, that's what's going on at the moment. That is the main problem I'm going to have to overcome, is how to get on with a Chinese girl living in my house. It's going to be fun. And
sorry, I was expecting somebody else to say something.
No. Yeah, I'm going to pass it on now with that weird pause.
All right, yeah, there will be some teething troubles with this. Charlie and Hazel aren't used to YouTube stuff. Charlie... What was the last thing you were in, Charlie?
It would have been the Payday stuff, I believe.
No way, sure. That couldn't have been the last thing you were in. That's a long
time ago. Obviously, I'm in the charity streams.
Yeah, Charlie and Hazel both appeared in charity streams.
But the last thing I did as a series was the Payday one.
Bloody hell, yeah, that was a while ago.
It was.
Yeah. Hazel was Voltec.
And that was... Oh, boy. When was that? 2000?
I think that must have been my third year of uni, so 6 years? 5 or 6 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies, doesn't it?
It does.
We're all getting old.
And on that note, Hazel, what have you been up to?
Well, apart from having a slightly past quarter-life crisis...
Yeah, Charlie, you're the youngest one here, by the way, so watch what you say about getting old.
I'm 25 next.
I might just break down.
Oh, how dearie me, Charlie. Oh, 25. I'm 28 next year.
That's 3 years difference. It's not that much.
I'm 28 right now. Hang on.
I didn't know you were older. I do that quite a lot. Am I 25 now? Or am I 24 now? I can't remember.
I'm so old. I've forgotten how old I am.
You must be 25. You're not 3 years younger than me.
Me?
I thought you were just 2 years younger than me.
No, I'm 1995.
Oh,
July. Wow. So, yeah.
July 95. I'm November 92.
Yes. So, I mean, there's 3 years just in our numbers.
Yeah, but it's school year terms, because Charlie and I went to the same secondary school, and that's how we knew each other.
We were 2 years, weren't we? Because you finished sixth form as I went into it.
Yeah. Wow. Christ. Anyway, Hazel, what's new with you?
What's new with me? Not as much as I'd like. So when I knew we were going to be doing the podcast today and there was going to be a what's new section, I thought, let's do some things. Mm-hmm. So I've got things to talk about. Tried to go and see a film. I thought, brilliant, I'll be able to talk about the film I saw, but my car broke on the way to the cinema. So instead of going and sitting and eating popcorn, I got to sit in a cold car and then get towed home in disgrace.
Oh, wow.
I thought maybe I'll see if I can download a new game or something like that.
I thought you were going to say I'll see if I can download the film I was going to watch.
Yeah, run.
That's why I was shocked. What film were you going to see?
Oh, so we were going to see Knives Out. I want to see that and the new Jumanji film as well, which I'm pretty excited about. But yeah, if I ever get to the cinema, I tried for it the weekend prior to last as well, and I got super ill then. So if
third time lucky, eh?
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I'm pretty determined to go and see this film. I know a couple of people who've seen it who say it's rubbish, but the spoiler-free reviews say film of the year. So
I've heard good things from the people I know who've seen it.
Yeah,
I haven't even heard it. I don't know what it is at all, apart from the new Jumanji one.
Knives Out is like it's marketed as like a whodunit.
Oh, right, okay.
But it's like a comedic one with Captain America, Chris Evans, being an incredibly offensive guy, and Daniel Craig, who's the current James Bond, being a guy with a comedic accent.
Okay.
And I think they're both detectives trying to solve who committed a like Cluedo style murder.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll watch it if it comes out on Netflix.
I've got to say, it didn't look like my kind of thing, because Hazel and I recently saw Joker, so I saw the trailer for Knives Out when we were seeing that.
I haven't watched a film in a cinema in ages.
I tend to go and see the Marvel ones, basically all the Marvel ones, but apart from that I don't watch much. But now that I've moved close to a cinema, there's one like a proper showcase thing like not far from me.
Yeah, when you can walk to it, it becomes much more tempting.
Oh, it's not quite walking distance, but it's easy on the bus.
I walk everywhere around Plymouth.
So Charlie lives in Plymouth.
I do.
Come and kill now me. A fact that is on public record. Great start.
I make no attempt to hide where I am.
Yeah.
My attitude is bring it on.
There was someone. I had a go at someone in the comments because they basically commented saying where they lived, what school they went to, the name of their teacher, and it's like, Christ. No, don't do that.
They really just don't care, do they? Nobody cares what they put on the internet, actually. This is something I'm really passionate about, only because I'm quite heavily into family treeing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And there gets to a point where records become private the closer you get to modern day.
Yeah.
And I've been able to fill out my family tree going down and to the side for people who I didn't even know existed. Just by going on people's Facebook profiles who are vaguely blood related to me but have no knowledge of me.
Yeah.
And they've just got their children, where they're at school, where they do gymnastics. And obviously I'm just doing family tree, so that's okay. I'm not stalking, I'm not being a creep, but so many people could be, that's the point.
Yeah.
I do kind of disagree with posting photos and stuff of your children. I mean, occasionally, one or two is fine, but when it's every day you're posting like 6 or 7 images of your child, what is that child going to think when it gets to the age where it can actually use a phone? It's like, why are all these photos of me online? Why do I have no privacy at all when I was a baby? I think that's a bit weird that you want to post every single second of your child life online rather than just experiencing yourself.
Yeah. I mean, some people go a lot further, don't they? You've got people who just post a couple of photos, but some kids' lives are just... It's like having a diary for their children on Facebook. It's awful.
What I find really creepy is, I've seen this a couple of times, when parents make a Facebook profile for their newborn child.
Yeah, that's definitely creepy. And it's just a picture of a baby that never does anything apart from like random things that the parent likes.
It's very, very weird. I do have a very quick side thing about family tree things.
Oh, okay. Go on.
I am actually distantly related to someone famous.
Really?
And when I say, you won't believe me because you'll be like, that sounds too planned. I'm actually a distant descendant of William Wordsworth.
William Wordsworth. Now,
the poet.
I don't know who that is. A poet. That makes sense.
I don't know. I can't remember exactly when he was. Hang on, I've got Wikipedia open still. William Wordsworth. 1770 to 1850. And he's a very famous English romantic poet.
Yeah, I'm just not educated very well, so...
He wrote... I can't remember what it's called. Like Lonely as a Cloud? Oh, I just heard my own voice. And we're back. Sorry about that. Teething troubles, test podcast, new thing, all that. So, yeah, so I'm distantly related to William Wordsworth.
Yes.
That is really convenient
It is.
for you.
It is
for,
very
like, your
convenient.
backstory.
Yeah. Don't say my backstory as if it's fake. For those unaware, I have a degree in creative writing. So...
Not a fake backstory, your real backstory, your life's backstory, Garen.
Garen
Your
Reaver
ancestry.
origin.
I'd watch that film. So, what's new with you then, Garen?
An advantage of my job is I get to play loads of new games from that I get from Keymailer and from devs. And when there's one that particularly catches me, I continue playing it. So I've been playing a lot of Mistover. Have you heard of it at all?
I have not.
Jibs?
No, sorry.
Well, that's all right. To be honest, it's kind of the low profile game. It's not had amazing reception, and I see its issues, but at the same time, I bloody love it. It's I think you'll have heard of what it's sort of based off. It is you've heard of Darkest Dungeon?
Yes, I love that game. It's fantastic.
I love Darkest Dungeon.
Imagine Darkest Dungeon with anime characters.
Ah, yes. I know there's mods for Darkest Dungeon to make it anime characters. So.
I'm not surprised. But I love it. It's so damn cutesy. My favourite is like the Grim Reaper, who's like a tiny girl child wrapped in bandages and a robe carrying a massive fuck-off size scythe, who's constantly crying about having lost a list of the dead. It's great fun. I love it. I've been playing it a lot.
What was it called again?
Mistover, all one word.
Mistover. So I'm just looking at the Steam page for it now, and I can definitely see the resemblance to Darkest Dungeon.
Yeah, the art style's quite similar.
Yeah, they're not trying to hide it, are they?
No. I did a first impressions. You can check that out on my channel, plug. And I really do enjoy it. I'd love to live stream it once I can live stream, but again, I need to wait until my window is done, because bloody hell. It
does just look like a knockoff Darkest Dungeon, doesn't it? But like, it's like someone's taken all the assets and then made a different game with it.
I can't say because I've not played Darkest Dungeon.
But even like the town scene at the
Darkest Dungeon.
You should definitely play it.
I should. It's on my wish list, but I haven't been able to get a hold of it yet. But I will play it at some point. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it says you want the game, but you haven't got it yet.
Yeah,
that's fair. I started playing it off of my brother's Steam. You know, when you have the Steam share, I started playing it off of that, and I liked it so much I bought it myself. That's how much I enjoyed it.
Nice.
Wow.
So that's a fun one, and I mean, I suppose what's new, you don't have to just talk about new stuff. Like I've begun another playthrough of RimWorld, but I'm having trouble getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got over 300 hours in RimWorld.
Yeah, I've got many things I've started doing and then not finished, so I know your pain.
And I've also been playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC.
Something I need to get.
It's very good.
That's on my list as well.
I'm so glad I didn't get it on PS4. I don't have a PS4, but like, I'm so glad I got it on PC. I'd like to get a PS4. That's why I mentioned it. It wasn't like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't buy that thing I can't use.
No, I kind of tempted by a PlayStation, but maybe I'll wait till the PlayStation 5 comes out.
Yeah, I've been buying PS4 games when I see them cheap. Like I got Infamous Second Son and Killzone Shadowfall the other day in a second-hand game shop, because I could get like the two of them for less than a tenner.
Yeah, I know that Killzone is supposedly a very good game, but I've never played it. I've always wanted to, but just never got around to it.
I think one of the problems with it is that it was a launch title, so it got forgotten. But I have heard good things, and that was actually the cheapest, £3.50.
That was a good price for a game.
Yeah. So I've got, I think, 4 PS4 games, because I got Gravity Ghost PS4 free as a promotional thing. And I've got Shadowfall, the other one that I said, Second Son, and also Detroit Become Human, because that was the game that made me go, I need to play that.
Yeah, I know all about that, but it's not really one that interests me. So
I've seen a playthrough, but I love the aesthetic and the style and everything about it, so I needed to give it a go. So I'm sort of working my way through a list of PS4 exclusive games. And once I've got most of them, I'll then buy a PS4. So that way I'll make sort of proper use of it.
Yeah. Apparently the PS5 is actually going to have some backwards compatibility. I don't know how widespread it's going to be, but that seems to be a thing they want to do.
Yeah. Maybe that's something to consider, but considering I got the PS3 probably going on 9 years ago now, a PS4 will probably last me quite a while.
Yeah, it would. Easily.
Yeah,
9
so
years.
we still use our PlayStation 1 pretty regularly, if I'm honest. It probably gets more use than the PlayStation 4 in our house.
That's good, though. That's a nice nostalgic way to spend your time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, massively so. And this isn't my segue into Nostalgia Corner, by the way. That's a completely separate thing. And even the PlayStation 4 at the minute, the most use we get out of that is the remakes of PS1 games. So like the remakes of Crash, Spyro, we've not long finished Medieval 2 as well. No, Medieval 1. That's been remade. I might as well not have a PlayStation 4, really.
I'm a little bit worried I won't get that much use out of it, but that's mostly based on the PS3, which I barely played. But
Yeah.
I had, I think, 2 decent games on PS3, and the rest were, Call of Duty Black Ops and stuff.
Yeah,
And Sonic
I played my
2006.
PlayStation until it died. It died last year. That's how much I played it, even to this day now.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a bit sad that it died, to be honest, because now I don't have anything to play any of the many PlayStation 3 games I have.
Yeah. Well, when I get a PS4, I might be... No, I probably won't be looking to offload it, because the PS4 doesn't have the backwards compatibility to play Infamous.
No, it doesn't, which is annoying.
I love Infamous. But, spoiler alert, that might be popping up in an upcoming segment for today.
Okay.
A little
Well,
tease.
there's 2 that it could come up in.
Yeah, well, either of the ones I'm doing, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, if that's everything for what's new, we can move on to the debate floor.
I think we can wrap that up.
We're about 10 minutes ahead of schedule, but that's okay because the intro took approximately 10 minutes less.
That's all good then, isn't it?
So, debate floor. Sorry about the accent. It slips in. Anyway, the debate floor. So, in this, one of the hosts will present a topic, and then they forewarn the others about the topic so that they can formulate some thoughts on it. And then we discuss it. So I had the topic, and the topic is, when should a game series end? So, given how profitable games can be, and particularly when continuing a known series, when is the best time to end a game series? In particular, some examples I had are the Assassin's Creed series, which looks to be stretching into the endless abyss ahead of us. Infamous Second Son, told you it would come up. And Deponia 4, although the whole thing about Deponia 4 might be saved for a Gurian Reaver in a future podcast, because I have a lot to say about that.
I didn't know they were doing a 4th one.
4th Deponia?
Yeah.
Well, neither did I until they did it, and then it shattered everything up.
Did you mention this before? I feel like
I've mentioned this to anyone who's ever said the word Deponia to me.
I feel like every time it comes up, Garen, all you do is gush about the game. This must have been recent.
Deponia 4. Hang on, it's on Steam. I played this ages ago, and I remember I've cried my eyes out about it on the channel a couple of times.
it's not a healthy reaction.
Deponia. It really crushed me. It came out in March.
I seem to remember you saying that it basically changed everything that you liked. or
March
something like that.
2016. So over almost 4 years ago. Fucking hell, seriously? I've been upset about it for almost 4 years.
Wow.
That's how much. This is really best saved for Aguri and Reaver. But
Segment.
basically, my problem with Deponia, right, I'll try and segue it back into the debate. The problem is, they did the first 3 Deponia games, or the 3 Deponia games, as I prefer to refer to them because I'm bitter and pedantic, and it told a complete story. It had, spoiler alert, bit of a sad ending, but the sad ending worked. You know, it completed the story. It meant there were no loose ends. Alright, fair enough. There were a couple of loose ends. But for the most part, it wrapped it up, told a complete story. And then the loose ends that were, you could let go because it was like a, and what'll happen next, ... at the end of a story, rather than, but that wasn't answered type loose end, you know?
Okay.
Right.
Then they announced Deponia 4, and a big part of the marketing for Deponia 4 was, can you change the outcome of Deponia 3?
Oh.
And
Having
this
not
is...
played Deponia 3, I can already see why that's...
Well, you see, this was a brilliant marketing thing, because so many people wanted to change it. Because, like I said, it was a bit sad. So, a load of people were not happy with the ending. I was happy with it. I thought it was fucking fantastically done. Sad, but fantastic. And then they marketed it as, can you change the outcome? And it was clear time travel was going to be part of it. And the trailer looked fantastic. And I saw the trailer, I think, about 2 weeks before the game came out. Pre-ordered it, and then when it was released, I played through the entire game in one night.
Wow.
And by the morning, I was devastated. I won't go into quite why, because it is quite spoilery, and to be honest, I will get more worked up that it's more suited to Guri and Reaver than a debate. But the
That's
point
fair.
is, should the series have ended at 3? Because the... it's hard to talk about this without spoiling. But it's to me, it's a case of, I don't know why they did a 4th one. Spoiler alert, you couldn't change the outcome. And a large portion of the game's theme was, you can't change things. Some things are just the way they are.
Okay.
So that adds to why I was so pissed off. If you can't change it, why pitch it as, hey, why don't you change this thing you didn't like? Lol, you can't. It's just a giant middle finger to the fanbase. But I will talk about that in the future Guri and Reaver, I promise.
Can I ask you this, though? Because I think this applies to other games that had fallen under this debate as well. Did that 4th game, has it tainted your view of those first 3 now? Has it retroactively made that
it made me
experience worse?
so upset that I couldn't get into any other games for about a week until I replayed the opening of the first Deponia, and I was like, oh yes, that's why I like games and Deponia. So no, it didn't, but it did temporarily break me. That's how emotionally invested I am in Deponia. I fucking love it. It's genuinely one of my favourite game series, and then 4 shat on it.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of an extreme example of something, having one too many. Obviously, if you say Call of Duty, that stuff's still going, and obviously they've even gone back to where they started from. It's clear that game has run out of steam, and they the only reason they're keeping it going is because they can make so much money by just keeping on pumping out another game.
Yeah.
Especially if they go back to the ones that people really liked. So I reckon soon enough we'll have the World at War game redone, because that was a fantastic game. During its time, and it could be done even better now.
Yeah.
But will they do it? I don't know. Umming and ahhing, because Modern Warfare, they originally said they'd only release one of the games you could get it with it if you bought a special edition, and obviously then they re-released it on its own just to make even more cash, and went back on their own word saying they won't release it on its own.
Sorry, quick thing, Charlie. You're quite quiet. Can you turn up your mic
Am I?
at all?
I'll move it back closer to my mouth again. This should work. Is that any better?
Yeah. Carry on.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think it depends how many are already in the series. I think 3 is a good number to aim for. So if you know you're going to make a series and you want to have sort of like an interlapping campaign series or something, I think 3 is a good number because you always have your introduction, you have your middle bit, and then you have an ending. And that's sort of how most things work, I think.
Well, I think if you plan it, then you should plan for... I mean, this sort of goes into other things like beyond just games. For example, Game of Thrones, they supposedly carefully planned it, and yet the last few seasons felt rushed and scuppered, as if they didn't plan it at all and just ended up scooping up the scraps. So
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
So
and I would be surprised if they'd been planning those last few seasons the whole time. It just doesn't watch that way.
I mean, this isn't about TV, and Charlie hasn't seen Game of Thrones, so we can't go into details. But basically, they got to, I think, about season 4 and said, right, we know there are X amount of episodes worth of content left, and that's why the last 2 seasons are a total of 13 episodes, because they decided 13 is the number of episodes left, 7 and 6. But
I do know what you're saying when the number of episodes reduces. A lot of series I've watched, there'll be 24 episodes, and you can see this is what they plan to do, and then suddenly it will get to like the latest series and it'll be 10, and you're like, why is it suddenly 10?
Yeah.
Don't know why it is most of the time. I expect it's probably because they run out of...
Well, actually, that might be things, because I think with Heroes was a TV show that started off with tons of episodes per season and then just reduced it over time. I think part of that was because they only got commissioned for fewer episodes. I don't know this for sure, this is just speculation. But after the ratings began to go downhill, it's entirely possible they said, right, we can't afford 24 episodes, just have 13.
Now, I was only on board with Heroes pretty much right at the start, but I thought general consensus was that the quality of that declined as well as time went on.
It definitely did.
Again, I've never watched it, so I don't watch much TV.
Yeah. But anyway, this isn't about TV shows, it's about game series in particular, because TV shows focus more on sort of, they've got to be picked up by a network, and you've got to have the actors, and you've got to have all of this. Game series tend to be a bit more fluid. They have much longer development cycles.
Yeah,
they do. That is true.
So the other examples I had were Infamous and Assassin's Creed, which are 2 very different things. Have you 2 played the first 2 Infamous games?
I haven't, no.
I have the second Infamous game, or the first. Pretty sure it's the second, but I've never played it.
Okay. Are you alright with some spoilers?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Alright, warning, Infamous spoilers. So the first 2 games you play as a guy, Cole McGrath, who is a guy who magically got electricity powers one day. And the first 2 games are a complete story. The events of the first game are in preparation for the events of the second. And they tell a complete story, and at the end, it's one of these moral choice ones where you can sort of be good or bad, and there's only an advantage to being all of one or all of the other. And in Infamous 1, I don't recall much difference in the ending, but in Infamous 2, if you chose to be all evil, you killed off every human on the planet.
Nice.
And only left people who were sort of evolved, they were referred to as conduits, who had these special elemental powers. And I think it was something like 20% of the world's population was left, who were these conduits naturally.
Right. And this is the end of the second one.
Yeah. But if you chose the good ending, you killed off all the conduits and only the humans were left. So either of these are the 2 possible outcomes of that game. And then they did a sequel in which there are both humans and conduits left. And that's Infamous Second Son.
That would naturally grind my gears too.
So it's like... they only did a sequel because it was a successful property on the PS3, and they wanted a PS4. I think it was even it was either a launch title or it was very close to the launch. And they showed off loads of like particle effects because you have, and these are barely elemental powers. You've got smoke, concrete, neon, and video. Although neon and video are so bloody similar, and all they actually are is just various particle effects. So they did it to show off the hardware, but it doesn't fit the story.
Do you play as the same guy in the third one?
No, you play as someone completely unconnected who is a massive prick.
And is it set after or before the second one?
I believe it is set after because conduits are referred to as bioterrorists, so it's definitely after they've been established as a thing in this world.
Right. So technically the game shouldn't exist according to the story they put out. So that's annoying.
And as far as I know, it's never explained. I watched a playthrough years ago, and as far as I know, it's never brought up.
Right. That's a weird one. Again, it seems like they've planned something out, it's been successful, and they've gone, let's make more money on this.
Yeah.
And that's really infuriating, especially if the whole, I don't know, everything that the first two games were working up to was a choice, a conclusion, something your actions affected.
Yeah.
And then to go into a third game and find out, oh, but actually your actions in the last game didn't matter because we've just hit a little bit of a reset button. I imagine that starts you off in that third game feeling pretty much like things are without consequence.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Another example... Sorry, go on.
I'd say confused, because if you've loved a game series, like your Deponia thing, if you've been playing it, like you really love this game, and then you go into the third one and suddenly it's not right. It's just not how it should be. It should be one or the other, and you can either select, or it's set in the past before it happens, and it's neither of those.
It's definitely set after the first two Infamous games, but I think part of why it's less devastating than Deponia is because it's not the same characters. It's not the same location or city or people at all.
Yeah, I didn't mean for you directly. I meant for people in general. If there's another person whose Infamous was their Deponia, then obviously it's neither of the two scenarios where it would be acceptable, where it's either just humans or just conduits, or it's set in the past before it happens. So that explains why it can exist, not the fact that they've decided to make a choice that actually there's both still. So get over it.
So when should game series end? Like, what was that other one that they said this was the last one?
I
swear there was something that like happened recently, and they said, right, this is the last one, even though they could logically continue it. I can't think of what it was.
I can't think either.
It was successful. I don't remember.
I know the one that you're talking about, but I cannot think of the name at all.
It was like a successful game series, and they said, okay, is it Dark Souls I'm thinking of?
Possibly.
It could be Dark Souls. Because Dark Souls, they're not doing any more Dark Souls games. There are the three that are sequels, and then there's like Bloodborne and... Is it Sekiro? Or Sekiro? I don't know.
Dark Souls 3.
And but the first three Dark Souls are sort of all connected. They're all set in like the same world, same continuity, whatever. And then they said, we're not doing any more because I guess they'd run out of ideas, or they wanted to do different things. But that's an example of a game series ending, and so few game makers do that. Yeah,
I mean, I think that the best number of games in a series is 3, possibly stretching it to a 4th if you are already planning it.
Well, there are exceptions, like Fallout. I don't want Fallout to end because the game series is about the setting, not about the characters.
Yeah, exactly. The stories in each one are self-contained, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same
so
with
I suppose
Far
that
Cry.
is different.
Although the Far Cry games are getting very samey in the gameplay department.
Well, I mean, my example would be Assassin's Creed. I didn't play Assassin's Creed 1, but I did play 2 and 3, and then I've tried almost every other game since then, apart from the most recent ones. And for me, the best one was the third one. I absolutely loved it.
The
Brotherhood.
third one?
The third one. I loved Brotherhood. I absolutely
sorry, I thought you
played the
meant
crap
3.
out of that game. No, sorry. It was the third game in the series.
Yeah.
It was called Brotherhood. So obviously it was like a spin-off with Ezio, and I loved Ezio's character.
Yeah.
And then they moved on from Ezio, and the new one was definitely different because they obviously were in a different time period, different area. You're in America for the actual game 3, but it didn't. By that point, I'd become attached to it being Ezio.
Ezio, yeah.
And then it kind of spoiled it. So whereas it's almost like a mix of Fallout. Sorry, it's a mix of Fallout and other story games.
There is an overarching plot. I keep thinking about playing Assassin's Creed and trying to get to grips with the plot, but my god, it's so convoluted.
It is. And there's so much rubbish in there that you just don't need.
I played 4, Black Flag, and it was very good, but the sort of the plot elements that tied into the overarching thing, I had no idea what the hell was going on, because I haven't played 3, or Brotherhood, or Revelations. I didn't finish 2. So I'm way behind on the plot, so there were large segments of that game that just made no sense to me.
Yeah.
And that's the mistake,
But
because the game has spanned so many goddamn parts, and because they're full-on AAA releases, like the massive price and everything, and they come out almost yearly, you can't fucking keep up.
No, especially if you're a completionist.
Yeah. And with the way they've gone, I mean, this is sort of going off point a bit, but I don't like the loot box microtransaction leveling bullshit that's in the later ones.
I haven't even looked at the latest ones. I didn't know that was in there, so I'm glad I didn't know.
Yeah, I was really excited to play Origins when I heard about it, but then I discovered that there is a leveling system, and that breaks the entire concept over a knee.
Yeah, I remember when they first introduced multiplayer in Revelations.
Brotherhood,
I think it was. Was it Brotherhood? They had multiplayer.
I think so.
One of the two, but at the time, it was seemed really novel and new and fantastic and that sort of stuff. But I never played it. I much prefer just slaughtering guards.
I played a little bit of it with a friend, and it was fun. But there are other games that do it better. Considering it's basically prop hunt with NPCs. Well, what game was that where I was playing that on a different game? I don't remember. There was another game where you do that, you pretend to be an NPC. Oh, it could be Watch Dogs I'm thinking of. Which is tied in.
I was going to say Hidden in Plain Sight.
No, that
the
sort of
ultimate
game,
NPC game.
Yeah. But Watch Dogs is actually canonically tied to Assassin's Creed, and there are theories that he is actually a member of the Assassin's Brotherhood.
Oh. That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, check it out. It's on Game Theory's thing. He was the one who I saw cover it. But yeah, there are tons of hints that basically every Ubisoft game series is in one connected universe.
Right. I've heard of that happening before. With other series, but I didn't know that was Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs were together. I think of the two as very, very different games.
I can see some things in that connect them, but yeah, I can see why you see them as very different. Any other things on the debate? Because we've about come to our time with that.
Well, what would you guys say is a definitive end to a series? Because I stapled it at 3. Would you guys staple it anywhere, or leave it open-ended, or what?
Hazel?
I'd say if it's a story-driven game, then it's just got to be that conclusion to the story, and don't try and reopen it all back up afterwards.
Yes.
But if you're not a story-driven game, then if your game's good enough, I say just keep going.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Definitely. There's certain games, like, I mean, you mentioned Call of Duty as an example. I think they could just... Why not bring like 3 a year out? Just keep making them. Everybody will buy them, and I don't think it really matters. I don't think anyone's super disappointed because the formula doesn't change enough. They just want more, and so I think that's kind of fine.
Well, I don't think they should flood the market with them, but I
Personally,
generally agree that if you make a story, tell the story and then stop. Speaking of which, I just want to quickly mention this because I was going to talk about it in the news before we decided to drop that segment for this one.
Go on.
The new BioShock game.
Yes.
Didn't they have a title for it? Did I imagine that?
Haven't seen a title for it.
May
I'd
have done
only
that.
seen they've got a new studio.
Yeah, I
Is
think
that
it's
it?
2K opened a new studio after they previously... I think they bought and gutted Irrational. Who were the
Yeah,
ones who
the new
made the
studio is
ones.
called Cloud Chamber.
Okay. So this is, I assume, going to be a continuation in, or at least a continuation of the franchise in the same way that Infinite was. And I will talk about this at greater length in my Infinite playthrough. I don't want to spoil sort of what I'm going to be saying in that.
Yeah.
But I just thought I'd mention that this is an example of them seeing a completed story and then going, that sold well, let's make more. So I disapprove. And I could be proven wrong. Infinite turned out very, very good after the complete story that 2 was tacked onto. So I could be proven wrong, but I doubt it.
Oh, I really hope you're wrong, Garen. Because BioShock Infinite's one of the very few games I actually finished.
But if you finished it, you know why there shouldn't be another.
I know, but at the same time, I can never have that experience of playing Infinite for the first time again. If I could get a little bit closer to having that kind of experience,
I suppose.
Again, I'd like to think that nothing they could do could ruin it retroactively for me, but...
Actually, that's an interesting way to look at it. Maybe it's not about... I don't think Ken Levine's connected with this one. He was like the driving force between the other BioShock games. But if they presented it as less sort of, this is a sequel because we want money, and just another unique experience that can only be a BioShock game. If they did it like that, I'd be all for it. But I feel like they're going to needlessly tie it into the others. Because that's what Infinite did.
See, I really hope they don't do that, because while I did finish the game, I didn't finish the DLC.
Oh, the DLC was good, and then, the ending was shit. Kind of like Infinite.
I don't think I finished the DLC. I don't think I did.
I hope to play it at some point on the channel, but...
And so, if the next one does tie in, it means I'm going to have to go back and play the DLC.
I don't think.
I mean, it was hard enough. It was hard enough to connect the dots in the first place, if I'm honest.
I reckon if it ties in, it will tie into the overarching themes and settings, and not specific events, because that's what Infinite did. It tied into Rapture, but not into Jack and Andrew Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, it sort of... Actually, I say that it completely did, but it didn't need to. That wasn't a part of the plot. That was just a sort of an Easter egg nod to the audience, rather than anything actually important. It was intricate to the plot, but not, in a way that mattered. Anyway...
Can I jump in with an extra bit of news then, seeing as we actually are doing news?
Sure.
It's not news. It will be news. It's something that will be new. So I'm a little bit early. 3 days from time of recording, The Witcher is making its debut on Netflix. Are you guys excited, or are you horrified? No.
I'm not going to watch it because I have no interest.
I have no interest, so I'm not going to watch it, but I disapprove.
Really?
I don't like when an actor decides they want to play a role and pushes for it like that. So the reason Henry Cavill is Geralt isn't because he was casted, is because he is a fan and wanted to play Geralt. He doesn't fit the character, he doesn't look much like the character, and when they did that teaser, like the very first teaser reveal, and this might have changed since then, but in the first teaser reveal he looked like someone doing bad cosplay.
Really?
And that alone, the fact that it was like pushed for by the actor and not by a casting person, and the fact that when they, put their best foot forward, it didn't look enough like him. That's just like, okay, apparently this is just for the actor. It's not to actually do justice to the material. I'm not interested.
I mean, when you say the material, because you're talking a lot about what he looks like, are you referring to the books? Because
yeah, I get the picture book versions. Do you? No, I played a bit of the first game and I found it deathly boring, and I've not played the other games. I don't have much interest in the original source material. I've not read the books. I have very little interest in The Witcher as a franchise. The TV show could have won me over, but with sort of what I know about it, and by all means say this is petty or whatever, but by what I've seen, it's not going to win me over.
It's not up to the standard that you think it should be based on the game series that you've seen.
Yes, I don't like shit adaptations. I don't like lazy adaptations done for the actor. I think if they're going to do an adaptation, they should actually try hard with it.
I'm gonna actually wait. I'm gonna watch it, and then I'll probably pass the same judgment as you guys, because
I have heard good things
you've
from...
probably got a better eye for like preemptively calling things out. I'm actually quite excited for it.
I've heard good things from people who've already
saw...
seen it. Like the early viewing reviews, I think are generally good.
Yeah.
But people like the Witcher game. I've only played the first one. I've heard amazing things about the third one.
I just want to say that the reason I'm not interested in watching it is I haven't played any of the games, so therefore I'm just not interested as a flat out thing, because I don't have any tie to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So I've played about half of the first game before inevitably not finishing it. And I've played maybe about half of the third game again before not finishing it. Big fan of the third one. Just don't have the time. And just based off the trailer, I'm getting slightly like Game of Thronesy explosion-y vibes off.
I'm fairly sure that's what they're going for, yeah.
And I know, first off, that that's what they're going for, that they're just trying to manipulate me into thinking, oh, it's going to be the next Game of Thrones. And it's working. Watch them fight, watch things burst into flames on the screen, and that's how you catch me. That's how you get me to watch
and that's
something.
fishing.
Do you think they'll have the naked women card collecting side mission?
Oh, I hope so.
That was so fucking bizarre. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, that's enough of the debate, enough of the news. On to the next thing, which is the theory, which I believe is Charlie's domain.
It is with me. So, I've based this theory on a game I got back into recently, playing it on a server with friends from, guys I know from around here. And it's Minecraft. So I haven't played Minecraft in about 2 years or something, and then I've jumped back on the server and helped destroy the Ender Dragon. So I figured that it'd be quite cool as a game we all know, and we'd look at some conspiracy theories of what they actually think was why the Minecraft world came to be. Okay. So obviously it's just Steve, and this is talking unmodded without all the extra stuff you can throw on top.
Yeah.
So Steve in a world where there's a bunch of monsters trying to kill him, and he's just trying to survive. The first theory that I saw that I thought was awesome, it's called the Dark Sun theory. And it basically goes along the lines that the Minecraft world that you're on at the moment, and the sun you can see in the sky and the moon you can see, are all basically changed around in order. So the sun you can see that rises and sets is actually the old Earth that you used to live on, and then the civilization moved onto the dying sun and made the Earth produce all the light and energy and stuff because the sun was dying. So it's extremely complicated, and I'm not sure that I understand it fully, but it looked pretty cool. So I'm going to read a bit off of it's just a news article. So it just says, in Minecraft there is a sun and a moon, but while the sun rises and sets, the moon is always there and opposite. the moon does appear to rotate, but it doesn't move relative to the sun, as described by some dude, Spamwack. That's a weird name. The only way in which Minecraft makes cosmological sense is if the sun is actually the Earth, and the Earth is a paved-over neutron star version of the sun, which basically means that when you get down to the bedrock, you're actually sat on the surface of the sun that is now dead. Which is incredibly cool in terms of Minecraft reasons. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this before. These theories are relatively new to me, but that was quite a cool one. And obviously that means that the sun is now, well, the sun that you can see.
Is there anything to back this up, or is it just a theory put out there randomly?
It's based on the sun and the moon's rotation around the planet that you're actually stood on, and obviously how the real Earth and the sun moves and stuff. So, according to this guy who worked it out, he basically said that the moon shouldn't move like that. The moon is incorrect, and from there worked out that you're actually stood on the sun. It's quite a fun one.
Is that the moon based on our Earth, or on how things can actually move?
I believe on our Earth. So cosmological sense basically means that, you know, how the gravity works. The moon is defying gravity, as you would know.
Right.
I think the gist is that the moon looks like it's orbiting around the sun rather than around the planet.
Right.
Which is why it then becomes weird.
But we know that the gravity isn't the same as on Earth, because you can easily jump a full meter in the air without any effort.
That's true.
Yeah, we can do that anyway, Garen, can't you?
I can't. No, I feel really weak now, but I'm limited to 80 centimeters at a time.
80 centimeters? Yeah. That's not very far.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were living on the sun, the mass of the sun would be much greater and you wouldn't be able to jump as far. So potentially that could be a reason why it's not correct, unless
the
density of a star is different.
Yeah, that should cripple the theory even more. Because
I think it does cripple the theory,
higher.
Thinking about it now. You shouldn't be able to jump as high.
Okay, so we've just disproven the dark sun theory?
The dark sun theory. There's a whole bunch, though. I think the most popular one that I think everyone knows is that it was an apocalypse. Once upon a time there was a world, and basically all the stuff that's left over is all of the bits of civilization that, you know, you kind of were left with once the rest of the population died for whatever reason. There are many reasons why. Really? There's many reasons why people think it's happened. They believe that the Ender Dragon is involved, and that's why there's Enderman now. They believe that potentially you are the only survivor on a planet because it's some sort of you're like an invader. So maybe not the same as there was a civilization once, but you weren't part of it, and you arrived, and now that the creepers that are always quite nice and docile, and then you walk up to them and then they blow up in your face, and they basically are just wardens of the planet. I think that's one that I've definitely heard before.
No, I've never heard that.
You know, how many of these theories have you not heard of, Garen?
Probably
no, so
all
you
of
know
them.
what? I don't think I've heard any Minecraft theories before, because it's never dawned on me to think of the world of Minecraft as something that needs a legitimate
an explanation of why it exists.
Yeah.
To me, the only theory has to make some reference to the ending.
The ending, which is apparently not the ending, as I found out last time I played. Yeah, it's weird because once you've killed the Ender Dragon, you've technically won the game.
Mm-hmm.
There is other stuff you can do. There's a city in the end.
Oh yeah, they've added this in more recent things. It's probably been around for like 3 years, but I don't play vanilla.
Yeah. No, me neither. Not really. Only recently. I used to play a lot of Feed the Beast. That was the server that I liked.
Yeah.
Or the mod pack that I liked. It was good back in the day. But one of the explanations for zombies is that they're actually the leftover survivors from the cities when obviously everything went to pot, which I think is quite endearing. But one thing I find with all of these theories is how does it explain villages?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's very weird.
You're not so much a sole survivor, really, are you?
No, because there's obviously other peoples that exist.
It could be like... damn, I might actually spoil my own thing here. It could be a little bit like Far Wind. which was Firewind Stranded, a series I did. And actually, at time of writing, a fan, Zeridium, has been rewatching the Firewind and doing a series of theory posts on the Gary and Reaver Reddit page.
All right.
Basically analysing the various clues I left in the series, because Firewind is a roleplay series where I crash land on a dust planet and have to survive and work out what happened and find my missing crew member, Joel. And it had it was well received because it was like an ongoing mystery, and there are still some things that are unanswered. But spoilers for the Firewind Stranded. Basically, I crash landed and there were these graveyards, and it was revealed later on that the graveyards were built on top of the dust after the world ended. And they were built by the survivors of the end of the world who then died off. So it could be like that, because you see underneath the dust is like hundreds of meters deep, and there are cities buried under the dust.
Yeah. So there's ruins and stuff on the original game in much the same vein.
Yeah, it could, instead of being like a dust apocalypse, it could be the villages are the survivors. They've degenerated into in creatures.
Yeah.
And you're either the only one who's maintained your sentience and intelligence, or you are from off-world.
The last theory I have, I'll jump into right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read a lot of this because it's quite a cool one, but it's quite long-winded, so I'm just going to read it.
Because we've run out of time for theories.
Oh, it's not amazingly long, but it's too long for me to remember everything. So basically, it's a theory that states that there used to be just normal pigmen rather than zombie pigmen, and something called a testificate.
That's the
Don't
villager.
know what that is. Oh, they're the villagers. Okay, so basically, they had a great long war. There is a war. The testificate villagers were winning. They moved underground and survived. So this is the pigmen moved underground and survived for a time, but the villagers found them and were on the brink of destroying them for good. Then they worked out how to survive in the Nether and have quite a nice time until the villagers basically send in a zombie, and they turn them into the zombie pigmen. So the reason why the zombie pigmen exist is because there was a war between them and the villagers, and the pigmen fled into the Nether. And they sent through zombies after them to turn them into zombies and won the war through simply, basically biological warfare against the zombie pigmen. So that's a fun one as well.
See,
many fun theories.
I prefer the Leon Sisk theory for that.
Mm-hmm.
This is turning into a list of me plugging my own series. In Age of Decay, we encountered a guy called Bobby Yarsulik, who's the guy who composed my ending theme. For all my videos. He was a special guest, but he did a song called Dr. Leon Sisk about a guy he knew called Dr. Leon Sisk, who's a real Minecraft player. Who and the song is about how he combined pigs and zombies to make pigmen in the Nether.
Okay, so they're like scientific experiments then.
Yeah. And it's a very catchy song, Dr. Leon Sisk by Bobby Yarsulik, go check it out. And he even did a special version of the song to match what happened in Age of Decay.
Oh, nice.
And I did a music video for him, so go check that out too, and say that you were sent there from here, because, that'll be cool. But anyway, yeah. So in Age of Decay, we presented an option that, it was basically a scientific experiment gone wrong.
Yeah, I actually like that a bit better.
It's a Frankenstein theory. I like the idea of a war. I think that's fantastic. That before Steve came around, there was a huge war. The only leftovers are basically villagers who can't talk, and zombie pigmen who are stuck in the Nether.
It's an interesting one. It's definitely different.
Yeah, not anything I've heard before.
So that's all the time we have for theories. We are really cracking through these because we've got so many things we want to get to in this one podcast. So next up is Hazel with Nostalgia Corner.
Welcome to the corner, everybody. I really had to narrow down what I wanted to talk about because I'm so nostalgic. how do I segue it? Okay. So the reason I'm feeling a little bit nostalgic about this thing recently is because of a new game. Newish game that I've been playing. It's open source. It's called AI Dungeon 2. Have either of you heard of it?
I have heard of it.
Right, okay. It's open source. You can play it for free online at the moment, but it's been completely overwhelmed, so it's really slow. There's a lot of crashing. But basically, it's a text-based adventure game that's run by an AI. So you can pretty much go anywhere, do anything, be anyone. It's completely open-ended, no limitations. So we can talk about that for a bit if you fancy. But that got me thinking nostalgically about the text-based games I used to play when I was quite young, mostly on demo discs for Windows 95, that kind of thing. And I've been trying to nail down why I've got such fondness for text-based games, because you'd assume it was the story, but playing this game where there's no limitation, there's no actual defined story, no parameters, no world, there's literally no world building. It just, one of the issues with having an AI running a game is it can just like jump you from one thing to the next, like the story isn't necessarily coherent.
Right.
Unless you really try and force it that way. But I feel just as fond about this as I do about the very self-contained adventures I took at the age of 9 or 10. I don't know whether to talk about the new game or the old games first.
I'd say the old games.
As we're like nostalgia corner.
Yeah.
Okay. So the main one that really pops out in my head is a series called Hugo's House of Horrors.
Is this like one of those book adventure, choose your own adventure things, or is it like computer game?
No, it's a computer game. There's a chap called Hugo. You're controlling a character on the screen, but you're basically limited to walking left, right, up and down, and then everything else you do is in text. As a kid, I didn't get especially far. Now and again, I go back to the game and have a little bit more luck with an adult brain, because all my memories of text-based games are just struggling for ages, doing nothing, going nowhere, trying absolutely everything I can think of.
Yeah.
And that's where this more recent game kind of opens that up, but I'm having just as much fun.
I'm looking at it on Google and it looks definitely interesting.
Which one are you looking at? Hugo's House of Horrors or the
House of Horrors?
Yeah. So one of my main memories of that game, I think it's from the second iteration, is that there's a dumbwaiter in the house that you're in that I presume is haunted. I don't think I ever got that far. And one of the key steps to advancing in the game is getting in the dumbwaiter and travelling up or down a floor in it. But obviously, as a 8-year-old, I had no knowledge of what a dumbwaiter was. It just looked like a cupboard on the screen.
Yeah.
And it was just things that as small as that could just completely stick you in a game. So I mentioned most of these that I played were on Windows 95 demo discs. And the way I've been able to go back to those games is through those demo discs again. And I don't even think they were demos, you know. Thinking back to it, I think the full game was there. It was just impossible to advance without a walkthrough. But
it's. I'm looking at it and it just looks very confusing.
It's they're bizarre. Logic-wise, they kind of follow. I know Garen loves Deponia, but like point-and-click games.
Yeah, I was getting that vibe from it.
Yeah, the logic is just so off. You're basically trying to crack a safe.
Yeah.
Except you're not choosing numbers, you're choosing any words that could exist.
Adventure game logic.
Yeah. But this is why I got so super excited when I saw this this text-based game because there's no puzzle element to it at all. If you find yourself in a situation and you can't think what to do, like any circumstance, just turn into a dragon, valid command, fly away.
I just don't see the appeal of that.
What, being a dragon?
Depends on the kind of dragon, but no, I don't see the appeal of a game where you can just do that.
So that is its downfall as well as its strength, because it kind of leans towards if you type it, you've done it.
Yeah.
So a decent way to go about it is, instead of saying, for example, turn into a dragon, you could say try to turn into a dragon, and then it might go, either way, or throw something new at you, a new curveball. It is just interesting to play a game where you are completely not limited to what a developer's thought up.
Yeah.
Which I think is that's not the main appeal of text-based games, but it's the imagination aspect to it.
See, one thing I absolutely love, one of my favourite kinds of games ever, is proper roleplay games. I'm not talking about RPGs like Fallout. I'm talking about Crusader Kings and RimWorld and The Sims, where I can tell a story and it's more like a visualization of the story than like a visualization and some random elements rather than sort of a proper roleplay thing.
Right.
So, it's very hard to describe, but the way you were talking about the AI dungeon thing, it's sort of what I do with these games. So I have the story as I want to tell it, and I'm okay with a little bit of randomization, but I'm not above cheating in The Sims or in RimWorld or Crusader Kings in order to keep the story on the track that I want it to be.
Yeah.
So, like, when... I can't think of an example. Like, say, oh no, the person you want to marry in Crusader Kings refuses to marry you. Isn't it convenient that I have a mod on that lets me choose who I marry? Yep, that person who said no, they're married to me because I reckon logically it would work. Or like when you take a prisoner and you go, okay, I'm going to do a Game of Thrones here and force this prisoner to marry my son. The game doesn't let me. Okay, right click, married to son. Oh, would you look at that? They're married. So on.
See, for me, I would say that's not a reason to play a game. Is like that's the wrong way of saying it. That is the wrong way to play the game, is what I would think. But obviously, a game is completely open to whatever you find fun. If you find fun sticking on mods where everyone is naked, then kind of do it, because that's what you find fun. So go for it. Adding cheats that allow you to basically you tell a story rather than being dealing with the hand that you're dealt. You fix the hand. Because,
I don't fix the hand as much as I keep an ace up my sleeve, to use the analogy. So it's like, if I happen to be one card off a royal flush, and a royal flush is an incredibly rare thing, and it's just so happened that it's got me 99% of the way there, I'm just going to give it that extra 1% because it's such an interesting thing to happen. It is more fun for it to happen than to get that close and back away again. Yeah.
No, I can definitely see the appeal of that. For me, I mainly play Crusader Kings Online, so I can't really mod it without, affecting other people's games. So in my case, I just kind of get stuck with whatever happens, and usually that means that I die alone as an 88-year-old man with no children.
Just like real life.
Oh.
Yeah. Not long now, only 80 years to go.
I've never played Crusader Kings, not that familiar with it, but you've just sold me on it. Like, I'm ready to die alone. Where do I sign up?
I find I'm so addicted to it. How many hours do I have in Crusader Kings? It was one of the first things I installed when I re-imaged my computer. 567 hours.
Wow.
It's a lot of
Crusader
hours.
Kings, and it's like I think it's actually my most played game on Steam.
I have 130 hours in it, but I mean I've eclipsed that easily with Siege, which is 500 something.
It's my third most played game. Fallout 4 at 581 and Civ 5 at 607 hours.
So not much in it.
No, it's close. If I did another playthrough of Crusader Kings, that would probably overtake it, because I can easily rack up 40 hours in one playthrough.
Yeah. I've definitely got a lot of hours in mine, but again, I mainly play it online, so I'm sort of limited to when other people are doing it as well. I have played solo, but I don't find it as fun.
I just love telling these stories, and I enjoy these stories, and that's why I like playing The Sims. And like in my last playthrough of RimWorld, I decided to do a psychopath run, where it's like one guy landing alone, and he's a psychopath, and he wants to create a profitable business of cloning and organ harvesting. And I managed it. And it was like probably about 60 hours of gameplay. And by the end, I was capable of creating an army of cloned people who were the best soldiers on the planet, who I could drop into any enemy base unarmed, and they'd be able to kill everyone in minutes. And that was all sort of done organically in gameplay.
Yeah, which in RimWorld is actually a really difficult thing to do. Because the number of times I've just died.
Very close to him just getting killed off. But he just happened to find other psychopaths to join him.
Do you think the satisfaction from telling a story in a game then comes from being able to achieve that within limitations? Do you think like removing those takes that away?
Another one that I'd like to tell a story was Skyrim. So I was playing through Skyrim, and I think this answers your question, because I never finished my playthrough of Skyrim. Because I couldn't complete the story within game limitations. I was playing as a mind-controlling vampire who had aspirations to become emperor or empress of everything. And there was a mod to become High Queen of Skyrim. And I thought, as soon as she becomes High Queen of Skyrim, because of her mind-controlling abilities, she could very, very easily become the new Empress. And as soon as I realised, but there is no mod for that, I lost the interest to continue. Because it's like, I know how the story should go, and I can't do it justice within the game.
That's a real shame.
Yeah.
All that effort wasted.
Yeah. But I'm really looking forward to doing a roleplay series of Skyrim on the channel at some point. I've got several ideas for different things I can do. And that's something I want to do as soon as I can, really. Because, yeah. Big plans for roleplay stuff on the channel in the future.
Big plan.
Yeah.
Going places.
Whole new kind of series. Brand new logo and everything.
Just like this.
Yeah, I've been designing a lot of new logos lately. I spent this morning redoing the logos because I realised one of the colours was slightly wrong. So I redid all of the first impressions things and all of the new logos and stuff. Took fucking ages. But it's done and looks good. Or I like it, at least.
That's fair. As long as you're happy with it, that's what matters, isn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, no, don't take that as a rule. Because there can be things that you're very happy with that other people would really not like.
Well, you've never complained about the spy camera, have you? No, not to me, at least. If you don't complain to me, I'm still happy with it, so...
That's fair. Yeah. I didn't mean you directly. I meant, there are some people out there that...
I did mean you directly with the spy camera. I don't have a spy camera with Hazel's. That would be weird.
I'm completely lost. You've lost me.
I have a spy camera. I'm watching Charlie right now.
Yeah. I'm looking at his spy camera.
Before he was like, oh, I waved, I don't know why I did that. And it's like, I can see. You did it for me. You waved at me, Charlie.
Good to know.
Anyway.
Someone's always watching.
We sort of got off the topic of nostalgia a bit there, but that's okay.
That's okay. It's
fine.
I just brought a topic. Nobody wanted to talk about it. It's fine.
I'm sorry. We did talk about it. I think it's because you connected it to a modern thing as well that distracted us.
I'm sorry.
Blame it on Hazel. That's it's not our problem. It's Hazel's problem.
I'm sorry. I do apologise. But we're sort of working out what works with these things. The original idea for Nostalgia Corner was sort of one of us explains something nostalgic and why it's nostalgic. But I sort of is then ... profit ? So I didn't really think anything through about what would be discussed about it.
No. I mean, to be honest, what you discuss would be something that you can link to it. And that's what we did. We linked...
Yeah, I guess.
Our own games that we've played to the experience. Although we didn't link them to the... To be fair, when I think back to old games that I play, I was using a Windows 98 machine, and I had 3D games. So I can't imagine what it must have been like to play on a 2D screen where all you can do is go up, down, left and right. That sounds horrible to me.
I
Not a fan of
mostly
that.
played strategy games because that's what my parents liked. So Age of Empires, Transport Tycoon.
Those were definitely games that appeared, but I didn't get much time with them.
So, as with present day, what games I play has always been dictated by what will work on the machine I'm using. And as Garen will attest to, it's only been recently, really, I've been able to come away from text-based games. I think while we were recording Voltec, which I know was, a few years ago now, but I was at about 10 FPS, wasn't I?
That wasn't great.
Back in the day when computers weren't powerful.
Oh, no, mine was. Hers wasn't.
Oh, yeah, mine wasn't at all. And we wrote off me not having a mouse by saying I had a broken leg because I was using a touchpad.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I haven't played Minecraft with a touchpad in absolute years. It must be 7 or 8 years or something. It's so long.
Voltec
it was
great.
awful. Voltec was great.
I've still got the story. I wrote a
play.
very elaborate story for that, and I really do hope we can get back to it at some point.
I hope so too. I'm really excited about the Voltec story.
It's unlikely James would return for it, though. He's got loads of other stuff going on these days, so I don't know what we'd do. I'm not sure we can recast him.
James impersonator.
Do someone
There's
who can
gotta
do a
be
James
one out
accent. Whatever accent James has.
I haven't spoken in so long, I can't remember.
But that's something, if you fancy helping towards that, it's currently 5,000 a month as a Patreon goal. So if my Patreon ever reaches 5,000 a month, that's what I do.
And you're drafting me in.
No, I'm talking to the listeners. If we reach that, I would revive Voltec and try and do something with it, because I'd be able to actually pay people for their time, like James. That might entice him back. But yeah, I'd love to do that because I think about it at least every couple of weeks. That sounds ridiculous, but I do, because it's a story I've written that I never did anything with, so it's always bouncing around my head. Anyway, that was Nostalgia Corner. If you have any tips for how we can improve debating, theorying, or nostalging, please do leave them in the comments. At the moment, oh yes, I forgot to say this before, this is only going on YouTube, the test one, because given the short notice, we sort of decided a date to do this a week ago.
It wasn't even that. I think we decided on Thursday or Friday.
And it's currently Tuesday. So we're really sort of short notice on this one, but in the future I hope to put it on stuff like SoundCloud and Spotify and stuff. I'll look into what the options are, so suggestions for that as well is really appreciated. So, the next thing.
I think it's time to hear you rant.
Yes, and according to my timings, I have 6 minutes in which to do it.
Yay!
Overrun.
It's alright, we'll just shorten the outro.
Yeah, I've got 10 minutes for the outro. Probably won't.
I
take
can
10
cut my.
minutes. No, it's
I
fine,
can cut my
Charlie.
hero focus in half.
It's fine.
Easily.
Remember, we will be cutting a bit in the middle from the audio issues.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, my fault again. Typical.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. So, Gurian Reaver. This is where I have a rant about something because people like listening to me rant. So I just need to stretch.
I think I might mute myself so I don't laugh out loud too much.
Right. Ow, my neck. Doesn't normally crack both ways. Anyway, right. So for this one, I thought something that irritates me is early access games, and I'm getting repeatedly pissed off with Raft. So this is perfect. So early access games and how they can go wrong. There are various ways that early access games can completely fuck up, and one of them is focusing on the YouTubers. So that's the majority of what this rant is going to be about. How early access games focus on courting the YouTubers who promote their games for free or at the cost of a key, rather than actually focusing on making a good game. So, are you too familiar with Raft at all?
I've heard you moan about it.
Bit.
Well, thanks, Charlie, man. Thanks. I did a full co-op series with Ben, and we stopped because we'd done everything that there was to do. And we began the hashtag No Rudder No Raft. Because this game, you see, alright, the game Raft is about you're on a bit of wood floating on an endless ocean. You're just constantly moving forwards and you have to fish debris out of the water to build your raft, make it bigger, get food and water and survive. That was the core premise, and they've built on that by adding islands that you can encounter. Excuse me. Anchors and stuff to slow down and stop. And more recently they've added story elements and animals. The problem is, it was like 5 years into the game's development before they added a way to turn the raft. So
That's a long time.
there was a paddle, so you could sort of move the raft left and right as you drifted forwards. But if you hit an island, it rotates your raft. This isn't a massive problem. You always move in the same speed in the same direction. The problem is that one of the things you can make is an item catcher. So it's like a block that you place at the front, and it catches debris so you don't have to fish everything out manually. If it happens to be at the wrong angle, suddenly your massive row of catchers is side on and, catches fuck all. And yet, despite direction of things being important, they didn't add a way until recently. And the problem I have is that the way they added is massively complex. I haven't actually played it, this is just going off the announcement stuff. But by the look of it, you need to build a complex steering wheel, which is gas-powered or fuel-powered, so you need to then have pipes and a generator and a way to generate fuel before you can turn the raft. And the point is that it underlines the problem that the developers would rather add new interesting items and mechanics rather than bug fixes or little updates. Because when a YouTuber is covering their game, they're more likely to return to it and play it and do multiple videos when there are things like llamas and pigs and fuel and crap like that, rather than just a bug fix or just a, hey, we've added a thing you stick on the back that allows you to turn it left and right. And it's endemic of how they'd rather add flashy stuff because that plays better among the YouTubers. It gives them more free publicity if they wait and do a big update than if they do little ones. And the thing is, in the meantime, I have lost complete interest in that game because they took so fucking long. They did like 3 surveys asking what players wanted for the game. This isn't just a rant about Raft. I will be going on to other things which are slightly connected shortly. They they did a couple of surveys, and the most requested thing was a way to turn the raft. So what did they add? Animals. And then they did another one after, like, even before they'd actually added the stuff in the previous survey. Apologies if you can hear the dog barking.
That's alright, I like dogs.
I fucking hate that dog. Anyway. So, yeah, they add stuff that's flashy rather than stuff they need to add. And Raft isn't the only game that's done this. I can't think of other examples. But there are lots of games.
There are many.
Yeah.
There are many games
that don't fix bugs. They just add more and more features. Because it's what people want in order to cover the game.
I think it's interesting that they waited so long to add something that is so relatively simple.
Yeah, and
in order
they
to
made it
actually
so
rotate an
fucking
object.
complex.
Yeah, in order to actually rotate an object, it's really not difficult to do in a game engine at all, especially not making something that the player can do themselves. So
it wasn't that it was complex at all. I have no idea why they waited that fucking long. I had a guy have a go at me about it. When they did finally announce the steering wheel, you see, I used to, every time they posted an update, I'd respond with something like, hey, you should probably add some way to turn the raft, hashtag no rudder, no raft. And people would yell at me on Twitter about this.
People get so upset.
And what were they yelling? Were they saying you were wrong?
No, they were saying, stop going on about that. God, why are you whining so much about that? They're working really hard, and it's like, but they're not adding the one fucking simple thing they should have added fucking years ago. And when they did finally announce a way to turn the raft, with something like a very smug, self-satisfied, hey, did someone ask for a way to turn the raft? Yeah, 3 years ago. That was, when they announced that, a guy tweeted at me something like, here, now you can stop fucking whining about it. And this guy wasn't a follower of mine. He sought me out. He remembered me from when I used to complain, because I haven't complained over the last few updates before that, because I'd given up hope. Yeah. And he sought me out and decided, yeah, this guy pissed me off so much, I'm going to be smug at this random guy who wanted them to add a feature.
And does it
even a feature of fix?
As if he even thinks as well, like, oh yeah, I'm going to seek out this guy and really show him, hey Garen, you know that thing you wanted? Well, you've got it! Like, oh yeah, burn on Garen!
And I think I responded with something like, that's a bit too little too late. Because I've lost complete interest in that game. Ben and I were going to go back to it when they added a rudder, but we can't be bothered. It's been so long, we've got other things we want to do. And the other way that early access games can go wrong to do with YouTubers is exemplified by 2 indie horror games, as it turns out, just by sheer coincidence. Have you ever heard of Bendy and the Ink Machine?
No.
Hello Neighbor?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Spoilers for Bendy and the Ink Machine and Hello Neighbor, is that alright?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm probably never going to play either, so
okay.
It's fine.
I don't recommend playing Hello Neighbor. Bendy and the Ink Machine might be worth a look. So, these are both story-based games. So unlike Raft, which is more about the gameplay than the story, even though they are adding a lot of story. The Forest. The Forest was another example of an early access game that focused on adding flashy things rather than fixes.
I do think of that as one that just had a lot of stuff really quickly.
Yeah.
I never played it though again, so I don't know if there were many bugs there.
There are a fair few. We did Ben and I did a full playthrough after Raft. Anyway, so Bendy and the Ink Machine and Hello Neighbor are story-based games, and by sheer coincidence, they both had multiple distinct stages of development. Bendy and the Ink Machine is an episodic thing, so there are 5 episodes. And each episode was like, probably 6 months to a year apart. And Hello Neighbor went through very, very public alpha steps. So there was like Alpha 1, Alpha 2, Alpha 3, so on. And each one was like a whole new game. And channels like Game Theory cover these extensively. Particularly Game Theory, he loved both of them. So I watched him play through the Bendy and the Ink Machine episodes and the Hello Neighbor builds. And as he'd play through, he'd theorize, because that's what people do. Bendy had a lot of questions raised in the early episodes, and Hello Neighbor was obviously an incomplete story. So as he went through, he theorized about where these were going, and I know other YouTubers did as well, but I didn't watch any of them, but occasionally Game Theory would refer to them. I had my own theories for where they were going. And then they released the final version. Bendy released the final episode, episode 5, and Hello Neighbor released its full game. And in both cases, they completely changed what they've been building up to. Bendy went for a very... I don't know how to describe it. One of these pseudo-dream things. None of it was real. It was all symbolism, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I hate those.
And Hello Neighbor did something similar. But the thing with Hello Neighbor is that it was always sort of hinting that maybe it wasn't real. But the way they did it in the end, they completely changed the story. So whereas Bendy pulled a bait and switch with that all of the theories and stuff it was building up, none of it was real, Hello Neighbor instead presented very clear clues about the story, and then either got rid of them or ignored them for the final story. And I reckon it's because people correctly guess where they were going with it. And it's like, I reckon this is what happened with the Star Wars one. What was it called? Something of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
I don't remember the last one. The Last Jedi. That was it.
Yeah.
With
Return of the Jedi is the film.
Rey's parents. Have you two seen The Last Jedi?
I haven't.
Is that the 7th film or the 8th film?
8th.
8th. I have seen it then, yes. I've seen all of them. I don't know why I questioned that. I just wanted to know which one it was.
Yeah, this is the at time of recording. This is the last one, the last main one to have come out. Episode 9's coming out sometime this month.
They've released on Thursday.
Oh, does it? Wow, 2 days from now.
2 days from now.
But in that, I reckon they did something very similar, where people had worked out who Rey's parents were, so they did a bait and switch. They changed what they had originally planned, not because that was the story they wanted to tell, but because, shit, people have guessed the twist. Better change the twist.
Yeah, I'd rather just have the twist kept as it was, and then people are validated.
Well, it's not just the people are validated, it's that's the bloody thing you built up. If you present clues to one outcome, and the clues aren't all red herrings, then...
I think it's more prevalent as a bad switch in a game, because, as you said, with they'd already... Because they'd done early access, people had already played it, they'd already found these other clues, they'd already gone through the story that there was, and then obviously they changed the whole story. Whereas in a film, you can build up to it, and people have never actually seen that element before, apart from it in other films, and those won't change, those will still be there. And obviously when you then change what the actual answer is, there can just be more theories as to why that happened. Whereas in a game, there isn't any extra content behind it. There's only exactly the same content you're still playing through, but now it's changed.
But
you see what I mean?
In The Last Jedi, I'm certain they were building up to revealing her parents to be certain characters. Like certain known characters.
I don't even remember her having her parents revealed.
Can we talk? Bad. Can we talk about this? Is it okay to spoil this film that came out like 2 years ago?
It's not really part of your rant, so probably shouldn't go into it.
It's not, but screw it. I'm going to spoil it. Sorry if you haven't seen it. Skip ahead, I don't know, 2 minutes or whatever. So, are you okay with me spoiling it, Hazel?
Yeah, go for it. Like, the more you're talking about it, I think I have seen it.
They revealed that Rey's parents were nobodies. So the whole time, people have been theorizing she's a Skywalker, she's a Kenobi, and there was a lot of evidence to say that she was Han and Leia's daughter.
Right.
With, I think, the biggest bit of evidence being after Han dies in Episode 7, and Leia goes to meet her and Chewie. Instead of hugging Han's best friend, who's known her husband longer than she has, she hugs the random woman who met him days ago.
Right.
As if they had some sort of connection. And there are sort of other bits, but that's the bit that really sticks in my mind. Why the hell would she hug this random person who's just met him instead of his best friend who watched him die? And considering at that point Leia and Rey hadn't met, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's such a really weird thing to happen. And it makes sense if she's her daughter, because she can sense the connection, she knows whatever. And like the way Han acted towards her, he sort of found out where she was from, and then his attitude towards her changed, as if he remembered, oh crap, that's where I dropped off my daughter. So on.
Yeah.
There was evidence to back it up. And then they go, oh yeah, you're born from nobodies. You knew this the whole time, right? And then there was an article released, and again, this is covered by Game Theory. A lot of my theory stuff comes from Game Theory. Where someone was talking about The Last Jedi and said that it was spoiled by theory channels, such as Film Theory, who's Game Theory's film version.
Right.
So they specifically called him out, who guessed that she was Han and Leia's daughter.
Do you really think that's enough to make a whole film change course, though?
Yeah, because the fact that a film exec specifically called him out because it was a very popular video, and that he wasn't the only person to theorize it, if they thought they'd set up this genius twist, and people were like, actually, no, it's probably this, and they're like, fuck, they guessed it. Well, we have to keep them guessing, because otherwise, you know, they'll be like, oh yeah, we saw that coming, oh, what a bad twist, it was obvious. So I think they misjudged.
You'd think if they were hinting at it in previous films... Do you get where I'm going with this? Like, why drop the clues if you're just going to change your mind if somebody does pick up on those clues? Surely those clues were there to be seen.
Yeah.
Sometimes clues are there to be seen afterwards.
I would say that is probably what they expected to happen. However, they didn't kind of expect people to take it apart to the threads. They literally picked it to the bone.
Yeah. These days people go through trailers and films frame by frame looking for clues. And that's why Marvel's got very clever with their trailers. They change the trailers to hide certain characters, or to include certain characters who aren't really there. To throw off the people who analyse these things. But this has gone completely off my topic. But the point, it's the same thing with Bendy and the Ink Machine and Hello Neighbour.
They changed it because people guessed
I reckon, because theorists guessed correctly what the twist was, and they decided it was more important to surprise the YouTubers when they play through the final version, because then the people viewing it would be like, oh wow, that was a twist, I didn't see that coming, I'll play it myself. Rather than if they play through and go, oh yeah, I guess this, we're done.
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword, early access.
Yeah.
For story games, it's not such a good idea. For games like, well, for example, Minecraft, there is not exactly a massive amount of story. Early access is actually quite a good thing.
I suppose that Minecraft was an early access game, was it?
It was for absolute years. I think I bought it for about £5 to £10 when I bought it originally.
Yeah, same.
A long time ago.
This is the thing. I think early access worked very well a long time ago.
I think
there is
still
so
can work
much
now.
early access out there.
Do you?
Oh, it definitely can.
It's become the prevalent thing now. Most of the games I get from Keymailer are early access.
Even AAA companies do it.
Yeah. And I was also going to mention Don't Starve has done early access DLC, which I massively disagree with. As I see it, early access is so you can test a game to make sure it works while also getting a bit of extra income to support you while you do it. It is not...
That's what I would use it for. It would be to test bed my game to make sure there's no bugs in it.
We're releasing something else now. Pay us before we've finished it.
Yeah.
Which is how it comes across with Don't Starve's DLC. You know the game works. All you have to do is balance it on your own. Can you not do that on your own? Do you need crowds of people to go, this bit isn't balanced, this bit is? I understand it does improve it overall, but that's what post-release patches are for, not I'm going to put it into early access months before it's finished.
Yeah, balancing can be done after the fact. It doesn't have to be balanced on release.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be kind of balanced, but it doesn't have to be...
It has to be workable.
To the point where it's... Yeah, and obviously if you're updating a game as well, a good example of this is stuff like the card game I play on my phone a lot. They constantly release new decks, and obviously that means that everything's balance changes because of...
Yeah.
It's even like in Siege and Overwatch, they keep releasing new operators, new heroes, and obviously those then become... heroes and operators that have an effect on other people, which means other people are weaker or stronger.
Multiplayer stuff is always different, but single-player stuff... So,
there's no need for you to spend all that time making other people balance the game for you, using air quotes that you can't see, just because you want to get some money in early access.
I can see it with the camera.
Hazel can't.
Hazel can't see it.
Can't. How do I get access to the...
Oh, I stream it on Twitch.
All right.
I should stop this joke before it gets out of hand.
Soon enough, there will just be a video camera in my room set up constantly just watching me, and I won't have put it there. Someone else will have put it there.
I bet it would go down reasonably well. I bet that is the thing. I bet there are some channels which are just like Big Brother style things, always watching random people in their house.
I've thought about doing it for my lizard.
That's an absolutely huge thing already. Did you not know that?
Yeah, I know it's a thing.
It's an absolutely huge thing.
What, Charlie's lizard?
No. I mean, that is a huge thing.
So scaly, Charlie. How did you get it like that?
Is this a euphemism?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it's already a really big thing. People hacking into cameras and just broadcasting them. There were...
I meant consensually.
I'm sure this year. Like, not consensually at all. There was a reasonably elderly couple somewhere in Britain, and they had motion activated house cameras, like little spy cameras, and they were used for the purposes of safety, but for some reason that ended up being broadcast on the internet, and thousands of people were just watching a couple in Britain just like make a sandwich, sit and watch telly. Thousands of people were watching. It's a huge deal.
It's possibly because they don't know they're being watched. But then also at the same time, Gogglebox. That's a thing. For some reason.
I don't know what that is.
That's not authentic watching people, though, is it? Because they know.
They know they're being watched. Yeah, if you're interested, Garen, go and watch Gogglebox in your own time, because it's a complete waste of time, and we shouldn't waste it now.
No.
Speaking of which, we need to move on. That rant went on considerably longer than it should have.
Oh, it's fine. We just talked about other things.
Yeah. So, the last thing is hero focus, but we're sort of a bit short on time, so hurry up. Sorry that we seem to be rushing through other people's stuff, but I spent ages doing rants and debates. I do apologise about that. That's not intended.
It's fine. I will cut it in half, because I had two characters that were linked, but I'll only do one.
Okay.
I figured it would be pretty appropriate if we're kicking off a lovely new series. We might as well talk about a hero that has a special place in Garen's heart. Can you guess who it is, Garen?
Rufus.
No.
Goal.
No. One more guess.
D.Va.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, I actually got it.
Yeah, the last clue was going to be that she pilots a huge mech.
Penny Parker.
You've already got it. Go back.
Shit, who's that other one? They've got to be what's the name? No, Yoko never piloted a mech, did she? Penny Parker's final answer.
It's a D.Va. It's a D.Va bomb.
Oh, D.Va. Should have said. Carry on.
I did say what? I'm very confused right now.
Just carry on. It's fine.
Okay, so for those of you who somehow don't know who D.Va is, she's a 19-year-old pro gamer from South Korea. Her actual name is Hannah Song. Mm. She volunteers to fight for the South Korean mecha unit when they basically put out a call. They're like, oh, we need pro gamers to come and help us fight off these Omnic attacks, which keep happening. Omnics are big-ass robots in the Overwatch world that basically started a civil war because they weren't happy with being used as slaves, and it just kind of spiraled into this thing. And now we're in a world where Omnics and humans sort of live together. They don't really, because the Omnics still attack them at times, like the bad Omnics. It's almost like extremism in today's world. There are some bad people and there are lots of good people.
Yeah,
the good people are generally okay, but the bad people sometimes pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so originally the mechs are actually built to be operated by like a drone, so like the Predator drones they have these days. The Omnics actually developed a technology that allowed them to scramble and jam the drone network, which is why they needed the pilots. Mm-hmm. And the reason they needed the game players, the pro gamers, was because they're the only ones who had the skills to actually use the highly advanced mecha systems that they had in place.
Makes sense.
So she's greatly adored by the South Korean people, basically become a poster girl for the mecha unit. And I think it's called mecha unit?
Yeah, mecha. Wait, oh shit, I've got to...
Is it just mecha, or is it the mecha unit?
MEKA.
It is, yeah, that is mecha, but I'm not sure if it's like a mecha battalion, the mecha regiment, or whatever.
Something Korean army. I don't remember what the ME stands for.
Probably mechanized Korean army or something like that, I would imagine. Lends itself pretty well to it.
You didn't look it up?
I couldn't find it. I did look, but I couldn't find it. Or at least I couldn't find it in the time that I searched for. Or on the websites that I used.
Carry on.
Either way.
I'll find out.
It's quickly become a burden for her, though. I don't know if you remember the D.Va's mini-movie thing that she had.
It is Mobile Exo Force of the Korean Army.
There you go.
MEKA.
Mobile Exo Force.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Exosuits. Exo Force.
Carry on.
Anyway, so yeah, it's become a burden on her spirit. I can't remember what didn't write it down again.
I don't remember what the short was called, but I do remember it.
Short. Yeah, in that you see, basically she's the background to that story is that she's the only one left, or not left. All the others have gone on leave after being all injured after the destruction of their mechs in the last fight that they had with the Omnics.
Yeah.
And she's still on duty. She refused to take leave so that she could stay and continue to look after people and stuff like that. But she feels like you can see it in the clip that every time something goes wrong, but obviously it reflects on her what her other side of her is, which you don't see in the game.
It's bollocks. It's bollocks, Charlie.
Well, she's high functioning, and she's obviously very bubbly and happy in the game and in most of her life, but behind the scenes...
No, but it's bollocks, Charlie.
What do you mean it's bollocks?
It doesn't fit anything. Like, some of the others got really interesting ones, like Hanzo. You find out about his connection to Genji and how it's affected his sense of honor and dignity, and then you get, like, D.Va, who's like, oh yeah, she works really hard and doesn't take help from other people. Seriously, that's the shit you give us for D.Va?
I mean, yes, I agree that she doesn't take help from other people. However, there's an element of her not wanting other people to get hurt.
It's just so
the reason
basic.
Why it happens. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's open to interpretation, but I see it as basically that she doesn't want other people to get hurt, and when someone does get hurt, she blames herself. And then that is what the burden is, and that's why it's so difficult for her.
I'm sorry that I'm just like complaining about I love D.Va. She's one of my favourite Overwatch characters, and I bloody love playing as her. I find her backstory as a pro gamer. She was like #1 StarCraft in the world or something. It's brilliant. And then that short, really, it takes one of the least interesting aspects of her, because it's just never come up. If they'd like taken her adjusting from playing games to actually being a serious life or death situation, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Or interacting with her viewers while also trying to do a good job. That would have been interesting and unique and different. But no, they just went for a basic plot.
But they did come up with the reason why her bomb exists. That's obviously the ending to that short. She uses that for the first time. It is pretty crappy that, and then obviously somehow that they made that into a real thing that they're going to use from now on, even though it broke her arm and her leg at the time. Logic.
Yeah.
Anyway, I figured that D.Va would be a good character to sort of profile, although maybe not the latest short that they gave her, or the only short. I don't think she's
not
in that many of them.
Like Tracer's in the most, I think, followed by Widow.
Yeah. And obviously Overwatch is a game that both me and Garen have played quite a lot of. I definitely more than Garen, I think. I'm a couple of 100 levels above you.
Yeah, keep bringing that up.
That's only because I just don't have a life and don't have anything else going on, or didn't about a year ago.
Yeah.
But so I thought that would then bring a close to our show with lovely D.Va getting mentioned. We all love D.Va. And her bright pink mech, which I think everyone...
Oh, I love it so much I have a giant statue of it.
I think when you think D.Va, you don't think of her so much, you just think of the mech first.
No,
That's
I think
the first
of
thing that pops into your head. Yeah, but you have a deeper connection than most people.
What were you going to say there?
I stopped myself from saying it. But when I think of D.Va, I do think of the mech.
I do sort of love her, yeah. Not in any weird or creepy way, but she is such a fascinating concept for a character.
I think she embodies what a lot of people would like to be. There are a lot of gamers out there who would like to be like a special forces soldier or something like that, because they feel like they can do it.
Yeah, and she's a case where it is a transferable skill.
Yes. So maybe one day in the future it will be pro gamers versus terrorists. We never know.
Have you seen Into the Spider-Verse?
I have. I thought it was a good film. I was actually thinking about it last night. How weird that you mentioned that.
Hazel, you've not seen it, have you?
I haven't, no.
I'll have to lend you the DVD. It's really good.
Fantastic film.
Penny, 100% inspired by D.Va, right?
Yes.
Because that's not what she's like in the original
somehow.
comics. They changed her design and they made her a lot more anime for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she hides in this mech eating Doritos and drinking fizzy drinks, that's a D.Va reference, surely.
It is definitely, because D.Va literally has, in one of her emotes, she gets out a packet of Doritos and some Pepsi, didn't she, or whatever it is, or some cola, Nano Cola, I think
and she
it is.
starts, she plays the game in a mech. And I swear to God, it's got to be a reference. If it's not a reference, it's copyright infringement. Or at least pretty damn close.
I enjoyed that film. It was a very good film.
It surprised me with how good it was. I was really hesitant about the animation, and it grew on me very quickly.
I didn't go into it thinking it'd be much. The way it is, it plays like you're reading a comic book in a way because of the art style.
Yeah,
I like that. All the dots that fill in everything. I thought that was fantastic.
It may genuinely be one of the best things I've seen this year. Like game, movie, TV, whatever. It's one of the best.
I haven't watched very much, so it probably is for me as well.
Sorry, Hazel, we sort of left you out of that one because you've not played Overwatch.
It was okay. It's okay. I'm happy to learn.
Overwatch is becoming free.
Yeah, true.
It's going to be free soon, so you can come and join us.
I'm not sure
Overwatch
Hazel's
anytime.
computer can run it.
I think it could, you know.
I have seen Overwatch running on a potato before, and it looked crap.
Running on a potato.
I'm really not running on a potato right now, Garen. I'm really not.
I think you could do it. You could run it.
In Black Mesa, the game, some of the graphics options are referred to as potato settings.
Nice.
Yeah.
Toaster setting.
Anyway, I believe that is all the time we have.
Yeah, I'm running out of time, literally.
Yeah, we've overrun by a little bit, but yeah. So, this was the test podcast of Vox Aloria. We hope to begin monthly releases in February, as soon as my setup is ready so that I can record before 9 PM. It's at the moment incredibly awkward, but please leave in the comments any suggestions you have for other segments we can do, ways we can improve the segments we have, names for the segments, ways to like improve podcasting in general, like other places I should look to post it.
Hosting sites.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's about everything. I hope you enjoyed this. This is great fun for me.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it.
I thought it was just.
I thought it was okay.
Oh, it's great fun for me. Silence.
And complete blank.
Crickets in the
I
background.
didn't realise you were going to ask us to make an input there.
I thought
but yeah, I enjoyed
implicit.
it. It's always good whenever me and Garen end up talking. Just whatever reason, wherever we are, whatever we're doing. I mean, we went to Lester's wedding a while back, and we just ended up sitting outside Garen's house just talking, because we just come up with so much bollocks. Just keeps spieling out, and we're like,
Yeah.
well, I should go now, and then something else comes up.
It's classic, isn't it? Yeah, Charlie and I have known each other for, oh god, how many years now?
I think I finished school in 2012, so it would be at least 3 or 4 years before that.
I'd say probably about 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a long time. Too long to know Garen.
Yeah. Mostly I kill them and harvest their blood.
Yeah, but I got away.
Yeah,
Escaped.
it's because your blood is so toxic, Charlie. Anyway.
Seriously though, that's a really impressive amount of time to sustain an adult friendship. Like, well done. I feel like you should get medals for that.
Thank you.
I was 12 when we started. It wasn't adult at that time. I don't think. Garen was. I wasn't.
How old were you 12 years ago?
13.
So
A fresh-faced
why
newbie
was I
at the
12?
Warhammer Club, I imagine.
What?
I would have been a fresh-faced newbie at
Yeah.
the Warhammer Club.
Yeah, that's where we met. I was
Yeah. The leader.
in charge of the Warhammer Club, yeah.
Somehow.
Took
Don't know who
over
gave you
from
that
A
responsibility.
massive useless prick who cut me with a razor once.
Oh, wow.
That's a
Was
story
it a
for another
teacher
day.
or something else?
No, it was a guy a couple of years above me. What a wanker. And he left, and then it was like, yeah, I'm going to set up a new one with blackjack and roleplay games. You know what? Forget the blackjack, just the roleplay games.
Just the roleplay games.
Yeah. Which is basically what it became. Anyway, we've really gone off topic. This is supposed to be a quick outro.
That's when you get me and Garen in the room together. It goes off top.
Yeah.
That's what.
I'm secretly
I
sat
think-
behind Charlie right now. I lied, I don't have a camera.
Oh shit! There he is.
It's like Ghost style, you know. I'm like, I've got my hands around him holding the microphone. This has gone really weird. Anyway.
Yeah, let's move on.
Whereas Hazel and I have been friends since what? Second year? No, first year, because
Yeah.
you saw Amy in my my flat in first year.
I didn't. We've been over this.
I'm certain. Oh no,
I
sorry.
never went to your flat,
That
Garen.
was second year. You're entirely correct. So yeah, about 7 years.
Wow. Can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah.
Too long.
Too long to know. Karen. And on that incredibly depressing note, we are going to leave it there for the podcast. So thank you very much. Yeah, it's all the stuff I said up there about leaving a comment, and if you have any thoughts on anything we talked about as well, feel
Apart
free
from
to...
where I live, don't talk about that.
Apart from what?
Apart from where I live, don't talk about
don't
that.
talk about Portsmouth.
Yeah, don't talk about Portsmouth.
Yeah, that would be really weird.
It would be very weird. Especially as it's Leicester's thing. Had nothing to do with me.
Yeah. You see, I wasn't going to mention that. I was going to see if anyone noticed.
They would do.
Yeah.
Well, technically he's not wrong, but he's not right either.
What do you mean technically he's not wrong? You don't live in Portsmouth.
Well, I live somewhere with P. And,
Yeah, but that
Leicester's-
doesn't mean...
Leicester's quite simple. He'll
Why
probably
don't you
listen to
just say,
this.
oh, you live in Uganda. No, I live in England. It's not,
And then if the viewers
the
did
same.
notice, then we'd just have to subvert their expectations and move Charlie to Portsmouth.
Yeah, I have to now live in Portsmouth. Just because they guessed it, and because that was the topic earlier on.
Anyway, let's call it a day. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you to Chibbles and Hasbaz for joining me today.
No worries, it's been nice.
You're very welcome.
And next you'll hear from us is probably February, so keep an eye out, subscribe, and we will catch you later.
Bye.
Have fun.
Bye-bye.